Okay, we're ready to begin with our oil pastels. We're actually going to start with the sky. So I'm going to choose a medium blue. This is actually called number 52 ultramarine light. So I'm just going to snap myself a couple of centimeters of that off. And then we are going to scrumble. So the pastel is on its side. I'm just going to push it around with my thumb as if I was rubbing a penny, because I've got all these nice textures. So in the top left hand corner in my pizza slice, I'm just going to bring this into those shark's teeth. There's number 1, number 2, number 3. Just bringing it down there. And then I'm going to keep my medium blue. I'm just going to put a few scrubbings along that borderline. So the top part of the sky is actually just a little bit darker or a little bit richer. And then I'm going to switch to my sky blue. Number 14, pale blue. But any light blue will do. Again, just going to snap myself off a little bit. And then I'm going to re-scrumble top left hand corner, nice and light. Bringing it into the canopy area. Scrumble over that top left hand corner. Okay, now we're going to deal with each of these panels. So we're going to work up from the gap here. We need a light scrumble. This is where we have a separation of riverbank, trees in the distance, and sky. So I'm just going to lightly scrumble. So here we have an opportunity to shape our trees. Again, I'm not going to try and make them exactly the same as Monet's, as long as they do something similar. So I'm scrumbling all the way up to the canopy. I'm being a little bit more careful at the side of the tree. Same with panel number 2, bring it right down into the yellow, because again we can lay more yellow on top. And I'm just scrumbling lightly. And I'm being careful to shape my tree trunks and make sure that they are nice and thin. Same in gap number 3. You can see here where the paint out of the tube as I dragged it blobbed out a little bit too enthusiastically. It gets dragged, but here I have a nasty thick bit. So again, just going to bring that in really close to the tree trunk. Same on this side. And then gives me an opportunity to just reshape those trunks. So scrumbling lightly. We're going to work this in with our fingers shortly. Okay, and then I'm inside the U with a little scrumble across those sections. And back into the top again where it's bled out and it's too broad. I'm just going to bring it back right down into the distant trees. And again, just controlling the width of my tree trunks. I'm scrumbling over mixing as I go. And then that final tree, that golden blob here, it's just a little bit of blue around it. I'll scrumble it to the very bottom of the tree canopy where the chicken's feet spread out. There we go. Okay. Now, staying with the light blue. So now I'm going to work the bottom sections, the reflections. So I've scrumbled with a medium blue, I've over scrumbled with a light blue, little bit of medium blue at the bottom of the canopy, then light blue across every panel all the way down to the trees and riverbank. And now, same with the reflections. I'm scrumbling, but I'm scrumbling side to side. That's the last panel, panel 8. Got little flecks of blue in panel 7. Panel 6 is very blue indeed. And it has a point here. Again, we'll be coming back with more colours. We just want to make sure that we have got those panels filled. Left hand side. Right hand side. And the left hand side again. Coming right up to the shadow. A few flecks of blue in there. A little scrumble. Panel number 3. Same again in panel number 2, left hand side. Panel number 1, right hand side. Scrumble left and right, keeping our strokes flat. And I'll give the water the illusion of being reflective. Okay. Right, that's our light blues. So now we are switching to our very light purple. So just in the top left hand corner, I'm just going to put a few flecks of purple in there, just to give it some extra depth, some high level cloud action going on in the upper atmosphere. Right, and then I'm going to switch to white. So I've got a couple of centimetres of white oil pastel. So now I'm going to re-scrumble everything I've done so far. So again, lightly pushing it with my thumb, working it into the canopy, into the teeth areas, first tooth, second tooth, as the third tooth. Scrumbled over that. Now when it comes to my panelled areas, I'm actually going to be pressing a little bit harder at the bottom. I'm also going to try and replicate those shapes, that gap. So it's picking up the blue, and then just above the canopy, again, I'm still pressing reasonably hard, but as I get higher up the page, I can ease off the pressure until it's just a very light dusting. Okay, and we'll go to the reflection below. Again, horizontal pushes, nice and flat. Panel number 2 comes right down into the yellow here, pressing a little bit harder at the bottom, easing off on the pressure as I come up near the canopy. Same here, a little bit harder, easing off. inside the U, again, I can press quite hard, bringing it up. So I'm squashing these yellow bits from below and from above. Just bringing that blue down, and a light scrumble at the top. A little harder. Easy enough. Now you will be able to see some very, very pale, distant tree trunks done in a very pale peach, which we'll be adding towards the end. So again, a little bit harder down here, a little bit lighter up there. And in and around our tree. Again, a little bit harder, getting lighter. And the reflections, again, sideways, scrumbling. I can go over my shadowed reflections, making sure that it's all filled in, but keeping the strokes nice and flat. I'm working my way across. Two panels, 1, 2 and 3. And there we go. Okay. So now we can do what we did with our poppy field sky. So just to make it look a little smoother, I'm just going to use my thumb to take out some of the bigger contrast areas where I've got too much texture. So I'm just stabbing it. My thumb is doing the blending, so that rich medium blue, sky blue, white, those touches of light purple, all working together. Bring it right into the canopy. That's our top left-hand corner done. And then each panel, again, working from the bottom, just pushing it with my thumb. Smoothing out some of the bigger areas of texture and contrast. So work that together. Nice and light. There should be no areas of white paper showing through at the end of this stage. And again, just as I get nearer the top and into the canopy, just easing off on the pressure. Still smoothing, smudging, but we've got those touches of medium blue and a little bit more light blue and a little less white. Same again, panel number 2. So I'm working it quite hard at the bottom. Bringing it right into the tree trunks, into the distant canopy area there. Taking out those big contrasts between light and dark. And as I get closer to the top, closer to the canopy, I can just ease off on the pressure. Now, inside the U, just push that together. And then above, quite heavy smoothing here. Pushing those colours together. shaping the tree trunks as we go up to the canopy, where I ease off on the pressure, bring it right in there. Because again, we are going to be laying the canopy shadows on top of the sky, so we want to make sure that the sky is completely done. So again, let's just work our way inside the U, nice and pale, shaping as we go, bring it right into the canopy, just above, work it quite hard, smooth out as we get closer to the top, ease off. And we'll continue to work our way through each panel. See how contrasty that was, how textured it was. This smoothing out process just by stabbing the surplus oil pastel or that surface of liquid oil pastel together. We smooth out our sky as we go. Quite tough on the thumbs, might want to wear gloves. Little bits just around the tree. Okay, and then reflections, flat dragging strokes with your thumb. Just trying to take out any naughty bits of white paper that's still hanging in there as I go. Should be just enough oil pastel in there. To cover any construction lines. If it hurts your thumb too much, you can always use a tissue or a cotton ball or something that removes any actual skin contact with the pastel. Okay, there we go, it's starting to take shape. Right, now it's time to start dealing with these tree trunks. Okay, so I've turned my paper around so it's now horizontal, just because I want to work these tree trunk lines, and it's a lot easier to do it this way than to battle uphill. So we're going to start with tree number 1. We're going to use the same ultramarine that we used in the top left hand corner of the sky. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is stabbing our way along that tree trunk. So if we look at tree trunk number 1, you've got a mixture of light blues, purples in the reflection in the water. So I'm just going to start adding layers of colour, bringing the shadow up to the riverbank. In the riverbank we have quite an explosion of the blue, where the tree disappears in behind the riverbank. It's just picking up light reflecting from the water. And then same again, where the trunk appears behind the riverbank here. So I'm just stabbing my way along, making sure that I keep the tree trunk narrow. And if I have a nice broken line, see how that dark blue is beginning to disappear, but it's still there, it's still working away on both sides of the tree trunk. And and the blue peters out about halfway between the canopies, so approximately here. And then in the canopy itself, if we follow, because this actually turns into a rusty red at this point, we go up into the canopy here. I can just stab my way along the original line. So what we've got here is exposed tree trunk, but in shadow. And then where I put my V's in, again, I'm just going to give myself some hints of branches using that same blue. Okay, and tree number 2, again, a little bit broken. Come into the riverbank, very bottom of the tree. Step, step, step. Nice and broken, because we are replicating a painting. We're not trying to draw it. So we're going to come back with this blue later and put the ears on the sides of the tree trunk. But first we'll deal with the main body of the tree trunk. So again, nice and broken. And then up in the canopy, we can have some hints of branch action. Okay. Tree number 3, just on this side of the reflection, up to the riverbank, we've got a little bit of blue. Just to the right of the tree, we've got a taller bush, so we use the blue first. Again, it's quite a rich, rusty red with just some hints of blue. And then once we get into the canopy, we will just put in some suggestions of branch action. Okay. Now we've got tree 1, tree 2, tree 3. There's not very much blue on the central tree. Just put a little bit of blue in the shadow. A little bit of blue in the riverbank, picking up some of those reflections from the water. We'll come back and do the ears with this blue. Just marking on where I think the ears are. So what I've got here on tree 4, the central tree, so in between the 2 canopies, the trunk thickens, and that is actually some growth on the trunk itself. And then just as we're leaving the level of the pale canopy here, we're going into blue. We jump into blue. This is mostly bright yellow. And again, we've got just a hint of some branches there. Tree number 5, blue in the shadow, up to the riverbank, a little bit of blue at the top of the riverbank, and a little bit at the bottom of the trunk there, just following that shape. And as the trunk enters the canopy, we have just a little bit of a thickening. Just above the canopy, again, just a hint of shadow. Just below the canopy top, a bit more shadow there. And we'll have some suggestions of branches hiding in there. Okay, last 2 trees. So this blue actually increases as we move across. So we have a little explosion of blue on this side between the trunk and its reflection. Then it turns red. And we have a little bit of green and a little bit of blue here. From this tree, we start to get more and more blue. So we're just stabbing the shape of the riverbank, climbing up the side of the tree there. Coming right down into the water. Remember our smiles from our sketch out skeleton. So we're just working angles. The bottom of the tree is blue and in shade. Get a bit of a kink as it cuts back into the canopy. And the rest is in light and orange, so we'll pick that up later. A bit more of this pale blue. It actually works its way off the page here. And that very last shadow. And here on the tree trunk, center, in between, and then we're into the split. And we can have one or two suggestions of branches.